Good afternoon, team. My name is Ryan, and I'm here today to go over the 20 most common sOOPy terms so that we can familiarize ourselves with these terms and integrate them into all levels of our organization, starting with the Security and Intelligence Department. So if you can please follow along on my screen, we'll go over each term with a brief description of each. Let's get started. So our first term that we have here is encapsulation. Encapsulation finds its origin in object-oriented programming. In OOP, a class definition encapsulates all data and functions to operate on the data. The goal is to allow access or manipulation of the class data in only the ways the designer intended. Inheritance. The mechanism of basing an object or class upon another object, prototype-based inheritance, or class, class-based inheritance, retaining similar implementation. Modularity is design technique that separates the functionality of a program into independent, interchangeable components. Each component modular is self-sufficient and capable of executing a unique part of desired functionality through well-designed interfaces. Process isolation. A process is a program running on a computer. Each process has a region of memory, address space, which only it can access. Isolating the process address space from other addresses spaces prevents tampering or interference from or by other processes. Domain separation. Allow for enforcement of rules governing the entry and use of domains by entities outside the domain. Outside of a computer, a domain can be an area of responsibility or control. Open design. The development of physical products, machines, and systems through the use of publicly shared design information. Open design involves the making of both free and open source software, FOSS, as well as open source hardware. Defense layering. A security system that is built using multiple tools and policies to safeguard multiple areas of the network against multiple threats including worms, theft, unauthorized access, insider attacks, and other security considerations. Least privilege. Granting users only the accesses that are required to perform their job functions. In a computer, a privilege is a right for the user to act and manage computer resources. Class. A blueprint for creating objects, a particular data structure, providing initial values for state member variables or attributes, and implementations of behavior, member functions or methods. Abstraction. The concept that something complicated can be thought of and represented more simply. Data handling. Used in object-oriented programming, OOP, to hide internal object details. Data members. Data hiding ensures exclusive data access to class members and protects object integrity by preventing unintended or intended changes. Layering. The organization of programming into separate functional components that interact in some sequential and hierarchical way, with each layer usually having an interface only to a layer above it and a layer below it. Simplicity. Making programming easy to understand, not creating wasteful or overly complicated coding. Lack of complexity. Process. A program running on a computer. Polymorphism. A programming language ability to process objects differently depending on their data type or class. Open-Close Principle, or OCP. States software entitles classes, modulars, functions, etc. should be open for extension, but closed for modification. That is, such entity can allow its behavior to be extended without modifying its source code. Interface Segregation Principle, ISP. Many client-specific interfaces are better than one general-purpose interface. Dependency Inversion Principle, DIP. States that high-level modules should not depend on low-level modules. Both should depend on abstractions. Liskov substitution principle, LSP. States functions that use pointers or references to base classes must be able to use objects or derive classes without knowing it. And our last term is single responsibility principle. States that every class or module in a program should have responsibility for just a single piece of that program's functionality. So thank you all for following along. I hope you guys took something out of these terminology, and hope that we can implement these into our organization as soon as possible. Again, thank you guys for stopping in. Have a great evening.